What's up, everybody? Brady Figueroa here, coming at you with a review of the new Attack EP Disaster that was released this past Friday, September 20th. Finally starting to dive into these albums that came out last Friday. Like, there's so many. I think I literally have 5 albums just from this Friday that I'm going to review on this channel. The easiest one for me to review, though, is this EP. Not only just because of the length, but because, let's just say I didn't have very high expectations for it, and the album the EP pretty much met my expectations, if that makes sense. It just met my very low expectations. And the reason I say that is because there's just such a disparity between Attack Attack's older albums and this new stuff, since they've pretty much revamped themselves, and it's pretty much Attack Attack 2.0 now in a way. And that's just because at the time, in 2008, when Someday Suddenly came out, it was something so new and fresh. It was one of the very first few of the kind of breakout albums from that whole second wave of metalcore thing that went on, that kind of turned into more of that emo type metalcore with bands like Black Veil Brides, Asking Alexandria, of course, Of Mice and Men. It was also a big landmark album in the whole electronic core subgenre, and the whole crabcore thing was a whole thing because of that as well, because of Stick Stickly. My point being, though, is that it was new, it was fresh, it was something different in the metalcore scene. Those 3 albums were. Fast forward to this EP and the EP that followed it that came out last year, and it just feels so disingenuous because it sounds just like everything else on the fucking radio right now, except with a few electronic flourishes here and there throughout the songs. This doesn't sound like Attack Attack, at all. It sounds like just blatant octane core. And at least for me, that's a pretty big turnoff. Although I feel like bands can still pull that off. That's not an automatic deal breaker. I think bands can still do a lot with that sound if it's not just blatantly pandered to the radio. A band that comes to mind for that, for me at least, is Silent Planet. Although I wasn't big on their last album, but their previous album, Reticent, perfect example of that. This EP just does absolutely nothing original. Nothing. It just is as uninnovative as it could possibly be. But I mean, like I just said, that doesn't always equate to bad. So let's actually talk about the music that's being played from a non-biased perspective, so you all can kind of get where I'm coming from, in a sense that not only is it generic, but it's a poor execution of this generic sound, and just nothing stands out about it whatsoever. And I'll start by saying that at times it's kind of a shame, because here and there are some lyrics I think are nice, or a cool riff or a cool breakdown, but it's just not enough to save the entire song. Like the first song, Concrete, for example, that main line that says, "You put the nail in the coffin, now pour concrete on it." I like that line. I think that is a great seed for a song to grow from. You could do so much with those lyrics that kind of talk about burying your past and forgetting your past. And I like the vocal delivery of it too in this song. That chorus, the way it ends, it makes it really drive home, and it sounds very powerful and motivational. But now on the flip side with this song, and I'll start lyrically, the lyrics on this song are just so fucking vague. They did not build off of that idea at all. There's so many just, like I said, vague lyrics, generic lyrics, just pointless word choice. Like in the chorus when he says, "Fallout from the chain reaction, it all went radioactive." What the fuck does that mean? How does that relate at all to that theme that main chorus line establishes of forgetting your past? That just a pointless line that to me sounds like it is really pandering to radio, to younger audiences. So when you put all the lyrics of this song together, I just don't know what the fuck this song is talking about. That intro riff I think is decent, but instrumentally too, this song is just so forgettable. It has no creative ideas, again, whatsoever. Again, those electronic and industrial flourishes that kind of pop in and out of this song, they don't feel like they're adding to the song at all. They feel like more of embellishments to kind of make up for these somewhat boring instrumentals. Whereas on Attack Attack's older material, they felt like they really were integral parts of the song. Blood on the Walls, too, is another one that I just find so cringy because of its lyrics. It, to me, is talking about, a toxic relationship, but, just the way it's sang with these cheesy metaphors is just so cringy. Hate how I love what you've done with the place, and every night we play a game of chess, black and white, now I'm seeing red. It's just so cringy. The main riff is decent, but the production really does not give it any justice whatsoever, that'll be a topic I get into at the end of the review. There's a somewhat cool sounding, like almost exotic guitar solo that is heavily edited, but I did actually think that elevated the song a little bit. But again, that's just not nearly enough to save this song for me. It is just so generic and so uninspired. And you get into Disaster, and it's just the same fucking bullshit again, except even more watered down and radio pandering. It's all clean vocals. The vocal cadences are just blatantly just pop influenced and just blatantly radio rock influenced again. I feel like I've heard this song. I feel like I've been hearing this song just for years, purely because of the amount of other songs it sounds like. Lead vocalist Chris Parkany tries to like have more of those soulful type vocals in this song, but it just kind of falls flat again because of the production and just the overall just vagueness and genericness of the song. And not to knock him as a vocalist, I think he's like a technically good vocalist, but like he just doesn't sound unique like in any way compared to these other Octane Core bands. There's again some synthesizers that are definitely a bit more like pushed to the forefront of the song, so they don't feel as much like just pointless fill-ins to spice up the music, but more generic melodies and nothing that makes them stand out in the Octane Core pack. Spitfire is probably my favorite song on this album. I wouldn't say it's even a good song still, but it's heavy, it's aggressive, it is slightly reminiscent of Attack Attack's older material. I think my main irritant with this track is when the vocals kind of get like softer and eerie sounding, but it just kind of sounds corny and a bit melodramatic. I think if they had just stuck with the heavier route with this song, and there is also again a decent amount of electronic influence in the song, if they had just stuck with that more, it'd be probably an easy highlight on the record. But in this case, it's kind of just slightly better than the other ones, in a sense that there's more parts that I enjoy as opposed to parts I don't like. And then We All Meet Up in Then is just more Octane Core bullshit that just sounds so fucking generic in every possible way. It has those corny like apocalypse vibes, and it's supposed to be about like, I don't want to say getting revenge, but like kind of waiting to see someone's downfall. But again, the lyrics just do not convey that message in any interesting way whatsoever. Super boring instrumentals, cheesy synth melodies, and again, the synths on this song do really feel like they're embellishments and to cover for just the boring music, like I said. And what we're left here is an EP that I don't see myself ever returning to. The EP is also just so fucking overproduced. The guitars have absolutely no bite or crunch to them whatsoever. The vocals have that inexplicable polish, especially the clean vocals. But the screams too, I just don't think there's any gruff in them just because of how overproduced this album is. And just, I support the whole idea of Attack Attack being back. Like, why let the band die? Like, keep it going. But it just feels so disingenuous. It feels like a money grab. The fact that there's only one original member left in the band, the overall, again, genericness and obvious radio pandering in the style of this EP, the fact that, like, I think either almost every song or every song have already been released as singles in the last year and a half, and it's almost just insulting to Attack Attack's legacy at this point. Like, part of me feels like it'd be better for them to just never have came back and just let those 3 albums sit and keep their status of this band that did a lot for this specific subgenre and then just wasn't around long enough. Think like a System of a Down, for example. But instead, we're listening to these soulless, uninspired, generic songs with the Attack Attack name just slapped onto them. This EP gets an 8 out of 30 for me. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more reviews. I will have plenty of reviews coming up. I'd love to know your thoughts on this EP as well, so definitely comment those below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.